Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Welcome, welcome. I was going through, we have a whole bunch of announcements that I was going through, just trying to make sure everything was in here. But nevertheless, glad that you guys are here. Welcome, welcome. When you come in, ask that you give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know where you are watching from, or just say hello to the community. We're glad that you're here. I cannot see you, and I don't know who's on until you make a comment. So if you want to engage in the conversation tonight that we are having, we would love to have you participate. Well, tonight, hey, good evening, my good friend, Miss Deborah. So glad to have you with us. Thank you for hanging with us and just for being here. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your support all around. And you are here from Hepzibah, as they say. Hepzibah. Thank you so much for being here, doll. All right. While that you guys, the rest of you are coming in, be sure and if you know somebody who maybe wants to be a part of this Bible study, feel free to go ahead and let them know. But tonight we are going to be talking about Daniel chapter 8. Now, this book has a lot of variables to it, a lot of waves, a lot of ups and downs to it, and a lot of insight. And this chapter 8 in Daniel is about the vision of the ram and the goat. The ram and the goat. So what I'm going to do is read through the chapter, and then we'll go back and just kind of break it down. I took a few notes, and we'll share some things that way. I'll try it that way. But what I want to do also is give folks a little time to be able to get in here. And so what I'm going to do is just go through a few of our announcements, maybe not everything, and then we'll kind of take a break in the center when people get on, and we will do some more announcements. But for now, I just want to encourage you, if you want to have an opportunity to be all hearts and minds are clear. Remember to adhere, as they say in service, adhere to the announcements that have made yourselves accordingly. Okay, let's go on and get started. Oh, in black, you said what happened? I hope, were you guys able to see the screen? Darn it. Put in the chat. Were you guys able to see were you able to hear me first of all, or did it go black? And then were you able to see the flyers that got put up? Somebody put that in the chat and let me know. Were you able to see the flyers? And did it go, and could you hear me? All right. Put that in the chat. And while I'm waiting for you to do that, we're going to go ahead and get started because I want to be mindful of your time. And we are doing Daniel, the 8th chapter, Daniel chapter 8. I hope it didn't go dark. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Okay, y'all don't want me to know that you're on. That's fine. All right, so I'll have to go through the announcements again. How about that? Ugh. All right, Daniel, the 8th chapter. We are beginning at the 3rd verse, and I'm just going to read through because this is really kind of confusing because let me tell you what this is. This again is the second half of Daniel. Daniel, the 1st through the 6 chapters, that's all about Daniel, how he got to where he was, some of the things that he went through. And then Daniel 7 through 12, it talks about some of the dreams that Daniel had and some of the things that he's had to deal with. So this is talking about a vision that he had, and we want to talk about that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. You have your Bibles. Didn't see you are here. Okay. But did you see any of the flyers, Deborah, or did the screen just go to black? And were you able to hear me as I was talking over the flyers? I hope so. That would be horrible if it was just totally black, but I can't do anything about it right now because we're live. All right. Let me know that. Could you see any of the flyers? Didn't see. I know that you couldn't see me, but I wanted to know, can you see any of the flyers? Okay. Daniel chapter 8. And we begin. Okay. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Utah. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. Saw the flyer, but didn't hear it. Okay, thank you. Verse 4, I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. And as I was considering, behold, and a goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram and brake his 2 horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of the hand. Therefore the great goat waxed great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself, even to the prince of the host. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down, and an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Okay, let me stop there at verse 12. We will pick up at verse 13, but let me just kind of go through some of the stuff that I read. All right, Daniel 8:1. Okay, Daniel received a vision. He had a vision. Daniel received by Daniel. He received a vision in the 3rd year of Belteshazzar, when he was the king of Babylon. So that would be about 552 BC, for those of you who are taking notes. Now, 2 years later, then the vision was in Daniel 7. That's important to note, because this is a part of Daniel 7 and Daniel 8 kind of go hand in hand in concert. All right, the details of the vision. In the vision, Daniel saw himself in Shushan, or Susa. That's Daniel 8:2. In the province of Elam, in the winter capital of the Persian kings. And he was by the river. He saw a 2-horned ram. He was standing by the river, and the horns were high, and the ram was pushed westward and northward and southward. No beast could withstand him. He was talking about that. No one could deliver him from his hand. He did according to his will and became great. And they're talking about the king that had taken over, did according to his will, and he became great. It was like the king was just doing whatever he wanted to, and God wasn't stopping him. And so he saw one horned male goat coming suddenly from the west across the surface of the whole earth, and it didn't even touch the ground. And that just kind of symbolized how fast this kingdom was being taken over. And actually, Alexander the Great was the one who was leading this kingdom to take over and to conquer and occupy new lands. And so it said it didn't even touch the ground, with the notable horns between the eyes. And and he saw the goat defeating the ram with furious power. The goat attacked the ram, and broke the ram's horns. And then he said the ram was unable to withstand the goat and was trampled. Well, the goat became great, and when he became strong. That's Daniel 8:8. All right, we're going to keep going. I'm just summarizing basically what I just read. Okay, then the huge horn was broken in the place where the horn was broken. Then it was noted that 4 new horns came up. And basically what happened was, I'll talk about the 4 horns and then I'll back up. So Alexander the Great, well, let me back up because it's not going to really make sense. All right, this was a vision that Daniel had, and there was a conflict between the Medes and the Medo-Persians and the Greeks. And the Medo-Persians represented the rams, and the Greeks represented the goats. Also, the Medo-Persians represented the arms of silver and the bear. Remember those dreams that the kings had in previous chapters? Well, the statue that the one king had, King Nebuchadnezzar, and the statue had like gold and silver and bronze. Well, okay, this kind of reflects onto that. The Medo-Persians was the arms of silver, and then the Greeks represented the goat, but also the belly of that huge statue and the leopard. So this book was actually written in Hebrew. Now we know the first chapter of Daniel was written in Hebrew. Chapters 2 through 6 was written in Aramaic. But then chapters 7 through 12 went back to Hebrew language, for those of you who are taking notes. The things from chapter 7 through 12, again, is like a diary for Daniel and a prophecy for us, because some of the things have come to pass, but some of them have not. So the vision of the ram and the Medo-Persians, we got that. All right, verse 5. So it came from the west, the area of Greece, and you have to know that the national emblem for Greece was a goat. So all of these things are working together. Alexander the Great, He took over new land and new kingdoms, and he did it in such a quick manner that people were shocked that he was taking over. So when the Greeks met the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greeks overcame the Medo-Persian Empire, and it was a speedy victory. Some scholars say it took about 4 to 5 years. Some say it took about 10 years. And then the speed, he took it over fast, but it also broke up really fast. So when Alexander the Great died, and this is back in verse 9 we're talking about, when he died, they didn't have like a succession plan. So he had said before he died that he wanted to give it to the leaders, or to those who are leaders. So the kingdom was divided into 4 sections, into 4 of his generals received it. Now, for those of you who are taking notes, here are the 4 generals. Seleucus was the general. He took over the Asian aspect, or the northern area. Talon, he took over the Egypt and Israel area. Las Marcus, he took over the Asian Minor area and the kingdom of Thrace. And then Cassander took over the Macedonia and the Greece area. So many of the battles between the north and the south happened. So out of all 4 of them, and this is when we were talking about the horns that were on the goats or whatever, and all those 4 horns got broken down, but then there was one horn that stood up. So this is where out of all 4 of them, there rose one little horn that took over. And this is what happened. Now, this is where we continue on verse 13. Let's continue reading. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression and the desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under food? You know, the king that took over, his name was Antiochus Epiphanius. Let me think. Antiochus. This is funny. Antiochus. Oh gosh, can't remember how to say it. Anyway, he was Greek. And so he even put his name and his face on coins, and he loved himself. So in these verses, in verse 12, 13, and 11, it talks about how he magnified himself and how he took goats and he made sacrifices in God's sanctuary. And it seemed like he was prospering and he was getting away with everything. And let me tell you this, when you see people, even the scripture talks about not to fret because of evildoers. When you see people doing things and doing things wrong, and it seems like they're getting away with it, you have got to know that there is a due season, that they are going to have to kind of pay the piper. They're going to have to come to a reckoning in order to, and they're going to have to answer to God for what they're doing and what they have done. Okay, verse 14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me the appearance of a man, and I heard the man's voice between the banks of the Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So Gabriel came to make Daniel understand the vision. But let me back up real quick, where it talks about the 2,300 days. I just want to address this real quick. Antiochus is said to have killed over 1,000 Jews. He did not like the Jews. He did not like the Jews. Hey, y'all, thanks for being on here. Appreciate it. And so in verse 12, he said he did all that he wanted to do. He defiled not the kingdom. He defiled the sanctuary where they worship God. He defiled it, and it seemed like he was still prospering. I said that. All right. In verse 14, it says, how long will this disgrace continue? And in it, it says 2,300 days. Well, let me say this about the 2,300 days, because some people have made a doctrine out of that, about that is when Jesus is going to return. So there was a guy called William Miller, and he said that Jesus was going to come back in 1844. Well, he didn't come back in 1844 because we are still here. So Jesus didn't come back. But at the time, people believed that Jesus was going to come back then. And so, they sold their goods, they got rid of everything, and they really believed it. So he was saying that each day stood for a year. So instead of the 2,300 days, he was saying it would be a year. Each day stood for a year. That obviously did not happen. But I want to address this because some people may be confused or may really hold on to that doctrine that they can tell you when Jesus is coming back. So I went to Matthew, the 24th chapter. Can somebody put that in the chat? Matthew 24. And I just want to read this to you real quick. And I'm going down a rabbit trail, I know, but we're going to get back to Daniel in a second. Matthew, the 24th chapter. Can y'all help me with this, old moderators? Matthew, the 24th chapter. Okay, I'm going to begin at the 3rd verse. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples. Okay, here's the question in verse 3. Tell us, when shall these things be? And he said, and what shall be the signs of the coming and of the end of the world? Verse 4, and Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceives you. Do not be deceived. He's saying, it's in red, so Jesus is saying it in verse 4 of Matthew 20:24. Verse 5, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. So people are going to be deceived, but let it not be you. Keep this word close to you and ask the Holy Spirit to give you insight on what's happening, on new people that come on the scene. You have got to ask God if they are of him or if they are of themselves or, some other entity or of the devil. You have got to ask God. That's when you develop your relationship with God, and that's when you develop your prayer life. So not that's when, but that's why it's important to develop a relationship with God and to develop a prayer life. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. This is verse 6. See that ye be not troubled. So when you hear that there are wars and rumors of wars, don't be troubled about that. For all of these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Did you hear what that said? You'll hear all of this stuff, but it doesn't mean that the end is there yet, but it doesn't mean that it isn't close either. Verse 7 says, for the nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. There shall be famines, there shall be pestilence, there shall be earthquakes. You've got to know that these are the things, these are the signs, these are things that are happening now. So pay attention. Verse 8 says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. It says these are the beginning, but it's putting us on the path to Christ's return. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated for all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. Okay, verse 10 of chapter 24 says, during this time, many people are going to be offended. And being offended is really a choice that we make. And we've talked about this before in other chats or in other lives about being offended, not to be offended. We've got to work at not being offended. If something offends you, you have got to do the work in order not to be offended. It's like God's not going to magically take it away. You've got to consciously ask God to get that out of your heart. Sometimes you have to go to that person and let them know how you feel. What you said hurt me. It offended me. It bothered me. And have a mature conversation, not a conversation to be right, but a conversation to be heard and for you to hear, for you to listen. So we have to work at not being offended because that is going to be rampant in the land. And we can see that. Okay, verse 11, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. What is going to happen in verse 11? It's in red. Jesus is saying it. Many false prophets shall arise, and they shall deceive many. That is exactly what is being said. That is exactly what the word says. So verse 12 says, and because iniquity shall abound, because let's see, I describe iniquity because the scripture talks about how Jesus was bruised for our iniquities, for things that are in our family lines, for proclivities that we have, because those things will be on display, on full display, because iniquities shall abound and they shall be everywhere you look. The love of many shall wax cold. People will not love the way they used to. And you may think, man, what's wrong with them? They have no love in their hearts. It's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the times. God doesn't want us to be ignorant. But he that shall endure unto the end the same shall be saved. And I want to go all the way down to verse 36, because this is why I turned to this. And it goes on to say in verse 36, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man. Let me back up. But of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but the Father only. So if someone comes to you and they tell you, we're going to turn back to Daniel, and they tell you that they know when Jesus is going to return, you can tell them that Jesus told me that no man knows when he's going to return, but there are signs that point to the fact that the return is near. We don't know the specific day, we don't know the specific hour, but there are signs that point to when he will return. And I was going to mention this at the end, but it makes sense to mention it now. We are in September on the Hebrew calendar, and this is the month of Tishri, Tishri. This is the month. This is the new year. This is the new beginning for them. This is when they celebrate Rosh Hashanah on September the 15th, Rosh Hashanah, the new year. And so some scholars have said that they think that Jesus would return during Rosh Hashanah, because this is the only time, the only festival where there's not a display, but where the trumpets are sound. Where the scripture talks about that when Jesus returns, that the trumpets will sound, and so and so the scholars are saying, yeah, this is happening now. And so this could happen during September, could happen during Rosh Hashanah. I'm not saying that it is, I'm just putting it out there, food for thought. One thing that I want this platform to do is to create the conversation, to keep you informed, and to make you think, and to make you research. And I'm saying make you, but to make you think. Think about what is being said to you. Think about what is being read to you out of the word. Think about what the scripture is saying. And if you don't understand something, look it up, have conversations with somebody. That is one reason why we have created the community. And I'm going to put this up because some of you are on right now. That is one reason why we have created the community over in Patreon, because we want to have these real conversations. And you can join patreon.com /Kim's community. Subscribe and join. We'll have real raw conversations, and they won't just be biblical or Christian, I should say, conversations. They will be conversations where we are able to talk freely. It's a private, closed community. So it's not going to be something that's going to be all over the internet for people to dissect. We're going to have a conversation about what is going on and different various topics. So if you want to be a part of that, we want you to join. You just go over to Patreon. I'll put that up, patreon.com /Kim's community. And that is where we are having these conversations. So subscribe and join. We'd love to have you be a part of it. Okay, back to Daniel. We're going back to Daniel chapter 8. And we stopped at verse 15. All right, verse 16. And I heard a man's voice. Between the banks. Oh, and this is where Gabriel came to explain to Daniel what these dreams and these visions were all about. Let's skip down to verse 17, where it says, so he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, For at the time of the end shall be the visions. So, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now, he said, now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep and on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. Now, Daniel was having this vision, and the angel was talking to him. And he said, we're in verse 19, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, the end shall be. Verse 20, the ram which thou saw having two horns are the kings of the Medes and the Persians, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So Gabriel is explaining all of the stuff that we just read earlier that I tried to explain to you, but Gabriel is doing so much a better job of explaining it. Verse 22, now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. Verse 23, and in the latter time of the kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding sentences shall stand up. Verse 24, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Verse 25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Now he's talking about when this king takes over, but some scholars have said this is what will happen also when the Antichrist gets on the scene, that he will think so great of himself. He'll think that he's just absolutely wonderful, and that he will really do any and everything that he wants to do, and he will seemingly not have to pay the piper. But the angel is explaining to him, like, that is not so. Don't be weary. Don't fret because of evildoers. Verse 26, and the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore shut thou up in the vision, for it shall be for many days. And verse 27, and I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward, I rose up and did the king's business. So even though Daniel was saying, I'm sick to my stomach, all of this is coming to pass, and it's so overwhelming, and it is really bothering me. But Daniel Daniel pushed past what he was dealing with so that he could embrace his job and his duty. So it says that Daniel went on and he did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. So even though they came to try to explain to him what was happening, then Daniel said, some of that stuff I just didn't understand because it was so far-fetched. And some people have even said that Daniel wrote this book and wrote chapter 8 or after all of this stuff had happened, the Medes and the Persians and all that stuff. But actually he didn't. He wrote it before all of this came to pass. And again, this is kind of a foreshadowing of the things that we are going to walk into. So by conclusion, the vision was probably the easiest to understand of the four visions. Okay, I won't go into that because we kind of did that already. All right. This is what one scholar or one person wrote. The accuracy of the vision had led some to date the book of Daniel after the events, what I just said, after the events, but his accuracy poses no problem for those who accept the inspiration of scriptures and should remind us of God's power to fulfill his word. The other thing that I hope that this platform and our discussions do for you is that God would begin to open up your eyes to things in the spirit, that he would also, and I pray this over you, that God would also give you understanding of his scripture, but that he would also give you understanding of the dreams and the visions that you have. When you have dreams, when you have visions, write them down, get you a notebook. It can be something just really cheap, or I'll put this up, shameless plug, not shameless plug. I'll put this up. We have a prayer journal that is available for you. If you want to get that journal, go ahead and go to our website. It is at KimberelyJMinistries.org. You can order that journal or go to the website, go to the shopping area, and then you can, I'm trying to stay behind the banner, go to the shopping area. You can find the link for that prayer journal. You click on that, it will take you to Amazon, and you can buy it and Amazon will send it to you. It is at our website at KimberelyJMinistries.com. One thing about this journal is you can write down your prayer request. That is what is important. Write down your dreams. It's a prayer journal, but you put down your prayer request, put the date that you put it down, put down your dreams, put the date that it happens. It also gives you a section where you can write when it was answered, when your prayer was answered. You're able to do that. And also you can put when that dream came to pass or when it manifested. You just never know. That I just believe that even during this time that God is going to begin to open up our eyes to a lot of things. And so I want to encourage you to take note, and not just to walk through life and not just be pulled through life. I want you to take note of what's happening in your life. If you think back to some of the things that have happened in your life, there are some spaces where you're like, I don't even remember what happened during that month or during that week. Or, when I'm using this as an example, when I was 16 or when I was 20, or some things are just kind of a blur and you don't even remember it. I think that those times are when we've allowed life to just happen around us. We weren't engaged. We were just there. We were just allowing life to just take us on the carousel. Just take us on the carousel. We don't even remember the things that are happening to us. We just kind of shut it out and had tunnel vision. Don't go through life like that. Engage in life. Make plans. Do your to-do list. Be intentional about life. And when you have dreams and visions, write them down. Ask God to give you understanding about what you dream and the visions that you have. I feel like that we're doing the study with the book of Daniel for a reason. I do. I feel like it's to encourage us for one, but it's to heighten our awareness about what is going on around us. So I want to encourage you to do that. The last thing that I want to encourage you with is this. I know that some of you have listened to different platforms, and a lot of them, and even some of it in our private chats, some of our intercessors have said, listen, we've got to get healthy. We've got to get ourselves together. We've got to eat right, because there are things coming to the earth. And if your body is not, your immune system isn't raised, if you don't have the strength to be able to maintain or to carry yourself or to walk a little ways, I don't know what's coming, but I do know that something is coming. So we want to encourage you to make sure that you create and put yourself in a healthy lifestyle. Now, I'm going to say this: before you change anything, talk to your doctor. Before you change anything, talk to your doctor. Before you change anything, talk to your doctor. Okay, everybody remember that. Before you change anything in your diet, in your vitamins, in your medicine, talk to your doctor. But we want to encourage you to pray 2 times a day. We want to encourage you to walk. This says 10,000 steps. You know, we have a new challenge, 12,000 steps a day, beginning October 1st. I'll put that flyer up in a second. Drink half your body weight in water. I want to encourage you to do that. Also, we want to encourage you to reduce your meat intake, your beef intake. Reduce that. Reduce your pork intake. We want you to be healthy. We also want you, and again, Consult your doctor before you do this with your vitamins. Consult your doctor before you do this. I'm doing this because I want you to remember that I said this. Consult your doctor before you change your vitamins or your medication or do anything strenuous. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor about your vitamin D levels. Talk to your doctor about vitamin C levels, elderberry, implementing that into your routine. Talk to your doctor about that. But folks, we have got to get ourselves together. We've got to get healthy. We've got to do better. So make sure you do that. Let me see. What are y'all saying over here? Yeah, a lot of that is happening. All right. And then the last two things I'm going to share, and then we are going to get out of here, is if you want to keep up with the things that you eat, the things that are healthy, you can get you a health journal. We've got everything that you need. Again, if you need that, you can also get that on our website. Go to KimberelyJMinistries.com. You can get that health journal, keep track of the food that you eat, of the healthy choices that you make, and you can document what you're doing. But again, talk to your doctor before you make any major changes with your medicine or your food or things of that nature. Talk to your doctor, but you can download that book and get it, and it'll take you, click on the link, it'll take you to Amazon, and you can get the journal so that you are able to keep track of your food. And this is the last thing that I want to put up is this. The walk challenge. We want you to be a part of it beginning October 1st through the 31st, 12,000 steps a day. We want you to join us. Send an email to to Kim's Community at gmail.com. $50 to get in, but we are going to have a first prize, second prize, and a third prize. And all of those individuals are going to walk home with that pot. So you put money into the pot, and we are going to distribute it to the first prize winner, the second prize winner, and the third prize winner. Send that email, says, I want to be a part of the Health Walk Challenge, to Kim's Community at gmail.com. Kim's Community at gmail.com. This is really, all of this is at our website. And send us an email. Let us know you want to be a part of it beginning October 1st. You got time to get your $50 together. You got time to start exercising, to pump yourself up so that you can get your strength, so that you'll be able to walk those 12,000 steps a day. The goal is 12,000 steps, but the person who walks the most is the one who will win. We'll have a first prize, second prize, and third prize, and we're going to distribute those funds. Your entry fee is going to be a part of those funds. So if you want to be a part of it, please do so, because we'd be glad to have you join us. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Okay, diagrams, love it. Yes, we need to get ourselves together. Indeed, you're laughing. Oh yeah, thank you for putting this up. I'm gonna hold this. Disclaimer: Kim is not a medical professional. Consult your doctor before changing anything in your diet. Absolutely. I love that. Thank you, Catherine. I'm going to save that so I can put that up always. I am not a medical professional. This is not medical advice. We are just encouraging you to get up and move, but consult your doctor before you do anything, because we want you to be around with us for a really long time. All right. All hearts and minds are clear, everybody. The book of Daniel. This is it's interesting because it's talking about things that have happened in the past, but it's also talking about things that are to come. And it's really a lot. And I know that we're only scratching the surface because it's just a lot. It's a lot. But I just pray that God would prick your heart and prick your curiosity so that you will know things to come, and so that we will not be caught in the dark and deceived about anything. All right, guys, that is it. Want to encourage you to join us next Thursday. Give us a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. And we will see you next time. See you guys later. Take care. Thanks a lot. Bye.